G'day guys, how we going? Welcome to Talking Boxing. Just a little bit unorganised tonight. It is Monday, April 24th, 2023, and it is Anzac Day Eve. And if you're not from Australia, you're from overseas. This is a very special time of year for us Australians and New Zealanders. Anzac means Australian New Zealand Army Corps. And as I said, it's a very, very special time for us over here in New Zealand. It really marks the day of respect for all those that fought for us during the wars, and especially for us here, it's the Gallipoli landing, which is the anniversary of April 25th. So, but it is a day that we, as I said, we show our respects to those that fought so that we could be free and have the life that we have today. And it's a really important day on the Australian calendar. And all got to get up nice and early, though. We'll say we'll be up at probably 5 o'clock in the morning to do the dawn service. But it's a very special time of year. I look forward to getting up with my kids and doing the dawn service. So hope you all get some sleep tonight. And all right, well, let's get into it. As I said, it's April 24th, 2023. And what do you guys think? The big fight yesterday, of course, I'm referring to Ryan Garcia and Gervonta Tank Davis. What did you think? I have put a review out, by the way, and while we're going, I might actually bring up the link for that so I can put it in there so you guys can see it. But about 15 to 20 minutes, I think it went for. Where are we? I'll just bring it up now and I'll put it in the link. If you haven't been here before, this is your show. It's what it says there. It's Talking Boxing. We'll talk about whatever you guys want to discuss. Of course, what I've got in store as well. Where are we? I'll bring it up there, and I'm going to put it in here. So if you haven't seen it, make sure you check it out. It's a good watch. Well, I think it's a good watch anyway, so check that one out. So, all right, what did you guys think? Of course, Gervonta Davis with the 7th round stoppage of Ryan Garcia. As I said in the review, I didn't really know what to make of it. I don't know whether I was happy with the fight or I wasn't happy with the fight. I will say I was disappointed in the performance of Ryan Garcia. I thought he might have shown a little bit more. Now, I know that's easy to say sitting out here in the cheap seats, but he talked a big game. Look, I think he did his best, no doubt about that. You can only do your best, let's face it. But the knockdown, I've been thinking about it more today, and I'm just not quite sure what to make of his going down and staying down. So I'm interested to hear what you guys have to think. How are you, Steve? Nice to have you along, mate. If you've got a comment or a question or whatever you want to say there, make sure you put in the comment section there. G'day, Adam. How are you, mate? Thanks for tuning in. What do we think? As I said, you can check out my full review in the video that's in the link there. But look, I thought Garcia was okay. I think he tried hard. I don't think Davis really got out of second gear. I really don't. I think he was actually surprised at how easily that Garcia went down in the second. I must admit it was great. And one thing, before we get into the fight, one thing I will say, it's great for boxing in general. Now, I'll give an example. Of course, I was always going to get the fight. My wife always likes to watch the fight. She sits down and watches it as well. But for the first time, my two sons, who are 18 and 16, especially my 16-year-old, has absolutely no interest in boxing whatsoever. He's into the basketball, loves his Celtics, all that sort of stuff. He knew about the fight and actually asked whether we were getting on and whether we were going to watch it. So that goes to show they got what they wanted. It mightn't have been the biggest fight, and I don't think it was the biggest fight that can be made by a mile, but what it did do was have that crossover effect where I've got my 16-year-old kid who doesn't have anything to do with boxing whatsoever, never watches the fights, never asks about it, he doesn't care. He knew it was on and said, can I come and watch the fight with you guys? So that goes to show you that social media presence and everything else that they were probably looking for to help promote the fight, it reached its target. And I must admit, even I was surprised by that. But the fight itself, I mean, look, it was just a great atmosphere. It would have been great to be in the arena, but I thought the first round, I thought Garcia did the right thing. He come out and he started strong. He took center ring. He didn't let Davis back him up, which I thought was a really good move. However, got a little bit ahead of himself, of course, and then in the second round, what a punch that was. Just a beautiful timed uppercut slash hook, hit him flush, looked even better in slow motion, but just an awesome shot, and down he went, and I think it was about then that the penny sort of dropped that, oh, shit, I might be in a little bit of trouble here. And I really like the way that Davis didn't go for the knockout. He took his time. I've got a feeling, too, that he maybe wanted to punish Ryan Garcia a little bit. But I was really impressed with the way Davis said, all right, I know I've got my man now. And he took his time, picked his shots, and just got the job done. Ronnie, picking Hawaii, mate, what do you got to say there? It's plain and simple. Once he felt the power of Davis, the fight changed. He also could have beat the count, but knew there was more coming. Yeah, he did that. So we'll jump to the actual stoppage. Now, I said in my review that, I mean, I've been hit with good shots to the body before, as I'm sure all you guys have been out there, whether it be boxing or playing football or whatever it might be. It might be an older sibling just give you one. I don't know. But he went down, and it wasn't surprising to me that he took the knee, because it was the right thing to do. And you could see he went, oh, I don't want to go down, but I'm going to have to. So he took the knee. I thought that was a really, really good decision. But as the count's going from 3 to 4 to 5 to 6, and then when we got to 7, I'm thinking he's not going to get up. And of course went to 8 and 9. I really thought he'd just spring to life at 9. He took the count. And I know he's copped an absolute, barraging today from everyone on social media. And I don't know why he couldn't, after having 8. Well, by the time they actually started the count, it's probably more like 10, 11, 12 seconds before he would have the opportunity to get up. So I'm just really surprised that he didn't suck it up, take a deep breath, and just get up, whether he felt like it or not. That really surprises me, and it disappoints me, I suppose. James, Daly, how are you, mate? What do you got to say? If Garcia got up from the liver shot, he probably gets KO'd badly. I'm not sure, James. I'm not sure. Like, look, as I said, I can understand it's a good shot. I can understand staying down right to the very last second. I get that. Would he have got KO'd badly? I mean, he probably could have moved. He could have clinched, covered up, whatever. I don't really buy that, mate. I don't really buy that he could have got KO'd badly. Worst case, could have put the hands up, copped a few, went down again, and maybe the referee would have stopped it. So I don't think he would have got KO'd badly. Maybe he would have got another shot to the body, which wouldn't have been great for him, of course, but it wouldn't have been a bad knockout. And I don't really think Davis, he would have probably come out throwing, but I just think Garcia probably would have went down again if that was the case. So I'm not quite sure I agree with that, mate, but I get what you're saying. I'm only sort of speaking from experience. Now, of course, not at this level, but whether it's at this level or this level, it's the same effect. And I just think, I'm just not quite sure whether he thought, this is a bit too hard. Maybe I've done well enough and this is enough. I don't know. I'm not in his position. I don't know, but that's what I got out of the fight, was that he could have got up. No, I have no doubt whatsoever he could have got up. And yes, James, the possibility is always there, and he's going to wear some shots. But I just think by the time Davis got to him, it's probably another 2 or 3 seconds. Clinch, hold, move, do whatever you have to do to survive, and then just try and see out the round. That's just my opinion. Adam, what do you got to say there, mate? I'm with you. You definitely seem, I just don't get it. And even the little look that he gave to Davis when he went down, it was sort of almost like, you got me, a bit of a nod and a wink, and I don't know, it was just bizarre. Ronnie, what do you got there, mate? Stood straight up after he did. Fantastic point, Ronnie. You hit it right on the head. When the referee said that is it, or counted him out, Garcia got straight to his feet, shook his head, and walked to the corner. Now, I'll just do this for a sec here, guys, because I'm a little bit out of focus there. Sorry, probably not a bad thing. But 100%, Ronnie, you hit it right on the head. He stood straight up after the count, walked to the corner, shook his head, and that's why I get the impression it was a little bit of, I've done enough. That's enough to satisfy everyone out there. And that's why I've got probably doubts on what he does going forward, because I did say in the review that I compared it to when Oscar De La Hoya got stopped by Bernard Hopkins, and he went down and he was on his haunches. He was head down on the canvas. He knew he had no hope of getting. That was a beautiful shot, and he went down. He had no hope of getting up, and he knew it, and he was devastated by it. The fact that Ryan Garcia is sitting straight up, he's on one knee, but he's he's upright, shows me that he could have got up. And I'm not going to probably aim abuse at him like what he's probably copped on social media today. I respect anyone that gets in the ring regardless of what happens, so I'm not going to go there. But in a fight of this magnitude, you're down. It's a body shot. Let's forget. It's not like he's been dropped with a good uppercut and he's struggling to get his senses. I'm not like no problem with that. But a body shot, come on, Ronnie. Great point. I knew I got you to tune in for a reason. I'm just joking. Jules, evening. How are you, mate? Still don't think we've seen the best of Garcia yet. From what you've seen, could he cause trouble for the top guys at 140? Spark Garcia would be great. Yeah, it would be great, mate. I want to see I'll tell you what I don't want to see though, Jules, and it sort of just started to come out today. I was weakened by the weight, mate. Look, I don't agree with the terms and conditions that were put on Garcia. I don't. I think if Mayweather and Leonard Alabi and Davis himself are so confident, they should have got rid of the rehydration clause and all that sort of stuff. But that wasn't why he lost. Okay, I know he's saying, maybe I could have taken it a bit better if I had been hydrated. No, look, you still had enough time to be hydrated enough to be competitive. That had nothing to do with it. It was a good shot to the body, and you taking one knee and being counted out had nothing to do with rehydration. Yeah, it might have had a little bit more of that sort of stung a bit more. Maybe didn't have as much fat on your bones. I don't know. All I'm saying is, from experience, if you've got 10 or 12 seconds to recover, unlike the De La Hoya one where you are in a lot of trouble, he wasn't in a lot of trouble. That was just that hurt. I'm a bit winded, and I'm just going to take a knee and take the 10 count. But in your regards to your question there, mate, I suppose it remains to be seen whether he could cause some trouble for the top guys at 140. I don't think he beats Lopez. I don't think he beats Taylor. From what I see, let's just quickly go through the other guys at super lightweight. So Lopez, they're probably the top dogs, I suppose, aren't they? I think, look. To be honest with you, mate, if I'm going to be honest, I don't think Spark gets near Garcia. I just don't think that. I think he gives him a good fight. I think he'll come to fight and he'll dig those body shots in. I just think Garcia's probably got a little bit too much class for Spark at this stage. I'm just going to be honest about that. Liam Paro. I think Liam Paro has a great shot against Ryan Garcia. I really do. Sharp shooter, good puncher as well, good movement. I think Paro, probably still a little bit early for Paro, even though looks like he's going to fight for a world title at some stage this year to tell, because we haven't seen him in one of those really big fights yet. But I think Liam Paro, Ryan Garcia would be a hell of a fight. Do we see that maybe Ryan Garcia does a Brock Jarvis and moves all the way to welterweight? Maybe he says, I'm just going to move up and be big. Because he reminds me a lot of Brock Jarvis in his body type and the way he's built and everything else. I think he could probably go to welterweight and carry the weight okay. Whether he carries his power is another thing. But, look, I won't lie, I was disappointed with not... I know it's probably a bit harsh. I'm not disappointed in his overall performance. I actually thought he fought quite well. I just can't get out of my head the fact that you're in front of 15,000, 20,000 people, whatever it was. Pay-per-views, probably maybe up to 1 million people just in America alone and all over the world as well. You're being paid probably tens of millions of dollars, and you take a knee and be counted out and then jump straight up, shake your head at your corner and go, oh, well, that's a bit of bad luck. I don't get it. Maybe I'm being a little bit harsh. Let me know. I just don't get it. J-Yo, how are you, J-Yo? See you on D-Style Boxing Panel. I really liked hearing your takes on the sport. Liked and sub. Keep up the excellent work. Thanks very much, mate. If you didn't see it, I was on D-Style Boxing's roundtable last Friday morning. I know most of you work or go to school or whatever, but yeah, I was on that. I really love going on there, J-Yo. It's a great show. They really know their stuff, and I've got to say, look, I'm sure, you get some pretty passionate fans down here in Australia. We know our stuff, but it's a little bit different talking to those guys because that's what they do, and it's a little bit different talking to some people in Australia about it. I know there's lots of experts out there. I'm not saying that, but it's just a little bit different talking to the guys on D-Style Roundtable because, geez, they know their stuff. They know their stuff. Big J, talking about knowing their stuff. There's no mystery to it. Garcia, just another D-grade boxer with no heart, complete pansy. Well, mate, look, I think you've been a little bit harsh, but I do agree. I think he was probably exposed as being maybe a bit of a hype job. I thought that Davis really, as I said before, didn't get out of second gear, I thought he did it with ease. I think he might have been able to stop him maybe a couple of rounds earlier. I thought he started slow. I think he still won. I think it was 4 of the first 5. I gave Garcia the first round, but that was more so Davis, who just barely threw a punch and just wanted to get a bit of a gauge of what Garcia had to offer. I thought he won the next 4 rounds without even really getting out of first or second gear, I thought. Thought Garcia won the 6th round, threw enough punches to maybe take it, but it was all relative anyway because Davis just took it up a gear in the 7th round and got him out of there. So, look, mate, I'm with you. I'm really disappointed in Garcia. Look, I'll tell you what I'm disappointed in, Big J. One is that I'm a big believer, and it's to the point where it's been a catchphrase of my business in the past. You talk it up, you got to back it up. That's my mantra. Don't be out there yapping it up and everything else if you can't back it up. And I just don't think he backed it up. Backing up would have been to say, I don't care if I can't move, I'm going to get up. I've talked it up. I've wanted the fight. I've pushed this fight. I've even put my purse on the line. I don't think anything's going to come out of that, but it's a different story. But I'm going to put my purse on the line. I'm going to win this. I'm going to puff the chest out at the press conferences on the weigh-in and point the finger and all this sort of stuff. And then you take a 10 count on your knee. Not to mention, I will say, Big J, now you got me going. He puts on that stupid bloody outfit at the press conference. Now he goes, I thought he was actually quite good at the press conference, but he wears whatever the sequined outfit was. Mate, that's the last thing you should be wearing when you get to a press conference when you're being counted out on one knee. I'm telling you. Davis, I mean, going in there with his trunks on and no shirt was probably another thing, but hey, he won. He can do whatever he wants. But I was surprised that after all that, Garcia gets to the press conference and has the nerve or the gall or whatever you want to call it to wear that ridiculous outfit after you've just been spanked in front of the whole world and taken a knee, a 10 count on your knee. I don't know. I would have thought a nice tracksuit or top would have been the way to go. Anyway, maybe I'm, again, showing my age. What hydration clause in boxing, absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, it is, mate. But at the end of the day, mate, I 100% agree with that. It's ridiculous. But, that's just professional boxing these days. I hate it. I don't like it. But that's the way it is. They can pretty much put any clauses in they want. I will say, though, that I saw Leonard Allaby at the pre-fight press conference. What the hell was he doing even there? As Oscar De La Hoya rightfully pointed out, he's not even a promoter of the event. Of course, he's got. I don't think he's even got a hand in Davis anymore. Under my sort of understanding, they were kicked to the curb. He and Mayweather, but they look like they were running the show. De La Hoya was a co-promoter, everyone, the others in there as well. And I know the fighters must be for tax reasons or whatever, they're co-promoters, whatever. But why did Leonard Allaby even talk at the press conference? I don't understand it. Oscar De La Hoya should have stood up and said, mate, get the hell out of here. You got no right to be here. You got no right to even be at the front table, let alone getting up and speaking. But anyway, he did say the A side can pretty much do what they want. And Adam, mate, I'm with you. But it's a credit, I will say, to Ryan Garcia in that aspect. He said, look, whatever it is, put it in there. I just want the fight. Put whatever clause in there. Whether that hurt his chances or not, who knows. But I agree with you, mate. It is ridiculous. I think I'm a big believer that if the fight's at lightweight, then it's 135. And you can put on whatever you want after that. If the fight's at 140, it's whatever after. I hate catch weights. I hate these rehydration clauses. I hate any clause, to be honest. If you're fighting for a belt, I suppose actually they're not fighting for a belt. I think that's probably the only reason I could probably say, okay, well, they can really do what they want because there's no title on the line. If it's for a world title, no catch weights, no clauses, no nothing. It is the weight of the weight division and no other clauses in there. It's for a belt, and that is the rules. And maybe the WBC and WBA and IBF and WBO have got to say, hey, there is no clauses in there apart from whatever the usual limitations are. So, but mate, I'm with you. It's ridiculous. I think he probably still had half a kilo up his sleeve from what I remember. I think he was 144.9. I think he could go to 146. And look. And the other thing though, Adam, Ryan Garcia himself said, mate, I'm good. I'm right to go. So, anyway. Jay Brown, how are you, mate? Similar shot to what Zoo hit Spark with, yeah. The old liver quiver, yeah. It was a good shot, wasn't it? And I think, again, I said on the review, I didn't actually see it at the time. I was like, what the hell was that? As soon as he went down on one knee, though, and the look in his face, I knew it had to be a body shot. I've seen that look before. And, yeah, but, look, I think Stevie Spark, to be fair to him, though, there's no way he was going to get up. I think Stevie Spark's the kind of fighter that if he's got any possibility of getting up, he's going to get up or attempt to get up. Ryan Garcia didn't even try to get up. So let that sink in for a second. Didn't even try. Now, if he's on one knee and he gets up and keels over and he just can't do it, hey, well, it is what it is. He sat there, looked at the referee. As soon as the 10 count was done and the hands were waved, he got straight up, as Ronnie pointed out, got straight up, shook his head and walked to his corner and went, geez, oh, well, that didn't go the way I wanted to go. So, but Stevie Spark, similar shot, but different reaction, I think, Jay. I think Stevie Spark, if he could have got up, would have got up. So he was paralysed. He was gone. Big J, Garcia, nothing but social media hype. Yeah, mate, I've got to agree with you, and it's probably up to him now to prove us wrong. As I said before, mate, you talk it up, you got to back it up, and he didn't. And it's not like he got knocked out or he was knocked down. Like, really, if he had that second round knockdown, now that was a beautiful shot. If he had got up and been a bit wobbly and they waved it off, well, no dramas, mate. You had a crack and you came up short. I still keep going back to it, I know, but he took a 10 count on his knee. And when I did the review yesterday, I was probably only an hour after the event. I wasn't quite sure whether I was even going to do one, but I thought, no, I want to just let people know what I think. I know I'm going to come on here tonight, but I wanted to get an official one out there. But I've had the night to think about it, and I just keep thinking all day, geez, a fight of that magnitude, and he takes a knee. Could you really see a Marvin Hagler, Duran, Leonard, Pacquiao, Mayweather, any of them, or not? Those types of guys take a knee in a fight of that magnitude. I don't get it. I don't understand it. Anyway, James, Garcia probably thinking, I'll live to fight another day. Well, I suppose, mate, but maybe, again, I'm a little bit old-fashioned, getting a little bit old. Real worries. Do they even think that way? I know in this day and age with concussion and all the rest going on, I know the mindset's a little bit different. But do you really think that, the worry? Do you reckon Arturo Gatti or Vinny Pazienza or any of those, Mickey Ward, those types of guys, thought back in the day, well, I'll live to fight another day? Do you reckon Arturo Gatti, when he got dropped by Mickey Ward with a beautiful body shot to the body, went down? Do you reckon he was thinking, I'll live to fight another day? He was thinking, shit, no, I'm getting up. And he was in pain. That's why I think Garcia, to me, I'm just not quite sure. What do you guys think? I know maybe I'm being a little bit harsh. But as I said, James, can you picture Arturo Gatti on the canvas, wincing in pain? You could see it, biting down on the mouth guard. And he got up and he was in trouble. And your question earlier about, before, about maybe being in danger, mate, he toughed it out. He was in trouble, and Ward tried to finish him, and he did what he could. He used his boxing smarts and he got through it. And, we all know what memorable fights they were. And I reckon that crossed his mind once. I'll live to fight another day, mate. I don't think so. Ronnie Picken. What else you got there, mate? Let's not forget Garcia retired Luke Campbell, an Olympic gold medalist who went the distance with Lomachenko, so he's no degrader. Yeah, mate, yeah, you're right. Look, I think I have to go back and check the tape, but I think I actually tipped Davis by stoppage. It might have been eight or 9 rounds, and of course it was 7. I thought that Garcia, very, very talented fighter, and I thought he would start well, and I just thought Davis would catch up to him and stop him in the 8th, 9th, 10th round, whatever it was I said. I don't change my view as far as him being a very, very talented guy. But in here, has he got it in here? That's the big thing. And I just don't think if you're made of the right stuff, if you're made of the right stuff, I just don't understand why that would go through your head. And De La Hoya, for all people think of him and guys like him, he was a pretty boy and all that sort of, hey, mate, he was one of the toughest guys going around. He just always fronted up, and said before with the Hopkins fight, my wife's telling me to stop bashing Garcia. But, hey, look, we're talking boxing. You guys want to discuss it. It is what it is. He's got to cop it. I'm sorry. Jules, Garcia handled himself very well post-fight. He did, mate. He did. Credit to him and credit to Gervonta. He's a special talent. Yeah, look, it's one thing I suppose we haven't really mentioned is that as disappointing as that was, he did handle himself very well at the press conferences, very, very respectful, apart from that stupid outfit, Jules. That's probably what, probably lost it for me a little bit, that he, after what happened, he turns up in that outfit. But anyway, I've said enough of that. But yeah, he did, and I like the fact he put a social media video out straight away. Just said it wasn't his night, all the rest of it. I must admit though, again, am I getting a little bit old, or do you reckon? Do you reckon some of those legends from days gone by that have just lost a big fight would be on social media within an hour after the fight, for whatever reason, apologising or whatever? No, some of them are probably planning the rematch or what's next, or they'd be, kicking the dog out the back. I don't know. I know it's a different age. I know I'm old and all the rest of it, but I just don't think, when some of those greats from the past, do you reckon when Marvin Hagler, when he got beat by Sugar Ray Leonard out the back, was thinking about, geez, I better let my fans know that I'm okay and it wasn't my night? No, I don't think so. But credit to him. Apart from that, Jules, I think he did. He spoke really well. He gave Davis his credit where it was due, and that is a feather in his cap as well. So I'll give him that. James again, Tank's like a modern day miniature Mike Tyson. Geez, he is, isn't he? I love him. And did you see the footage of him as an young amateur kid in the lead up to the fight? He was probably about 4 foot tall. And he went out, he's just an absolute little buzzsaw. Oh, he's just a special little guy. Probably, what I will say, James, where he differs from Mike Tyson, he's probably got a lot more style about him, a lot more calculated, not so calculated, but a lot more pinpointing what he does, the way he picks his punches and takes his time. Tyson was just an absolute battering ram and a buzzsaw. But as far as the demeanour and the way they go about it, they get you hurt, they get you out of there. So, yeah, look, he does remind me of him. I just think maybe he's got a little bit more class technique-wise than Mike had. And let's not forget, too, one's a heavyweight, one's a lightweight. At heavyweight, a lot slower, so Tyson was able just to rip through them. Lightweight, you got to be a little bit more technical. But, yeah, it was, look, yeah, I'm not going to argue with you, mate, there. All right, Tank beats all at 135. Okay, well, what are we thinking about this, guys? I did say again that Tank Davis, for some reason, doesn't get thrown in the mix a lot with Haney, Lomachenko, Shakur Stevenson, even Garcia. They were sort of getting thrown in. You don't sort of hear that. Where's the Tank Davis Haney talk, and where's the Tank Devin Haney talk, the Tank Shakur talk, the Tank Lomachenko talk? You don't sort of hear a lot about it. I want to just see from now on. I'm with you there, by the way, Tank. I think the only one I will say that I would give a chance of beating Tank is Shakur. I think Tank beats Devin Haney. I think he beats Lomachenko. I think he beats Kambosos. I think he beats Isaac Cruz. I think he beats them all. The only fight I can see down the track that would be an absolute ripper is Tank Davis and Shakur Stevenson. Now, I'm not saying Devin Haney or even Lomachenko can't beat Tank. I just don't think they'd be overly exciting fights. Shakur Stevenson and Tank Davis would be a really good fight. Now, I know Shakur is more of a technical boxer as well, but I just think he would engage a little bit more than what Haney would. So I think that would be a good one. But I'm with you, mate. The only one for me that can maybe beat Tank is Shakur. Hopefully we get to see it. Team Batman Boxing, how are you, mate? Tank showed he was levels above, but really glad both guys got the fight done. They aren't still fake beefing on Twitter. Yeah, you got to laugh, don't you, Batman? I mean, afterwards, it's always good to see them hug it out and, give each other respect. I really like that. But sometimes I think, geez, how silly do you sort of feel after the fight where you've carried on as much as you have, and now he's the best mates? I don't know. That's why I don't like I like a certain amount of, back and forth before the fight, Batman, but I think they just go way overboard these days. And as I said, that's almost at the end of it, you go, geez, that's going to be a little bit awkward after everything you've said and done, and now you're hugging it out. I don't know. I still like, again, I'm showing my age, the Haglers and Leonards and Hearns and Durans and the Fab Four, I know, but even the Tysons and Holmes and, all these guys that, Chavez's and Whitakers, where there was that back and forth, but it was still within a certain parameter, I suppose. These days, they just get way too out of it. And look, when you think about it, you can almost predict the way they're all going to go. All these, whether it be a press conference or weigh-in. At the press conference, they're going to walk together. They're going to start yapping to each other. They'll probably have to be separated by the team. The team will start talking back to each other, and the promoter will be at the back like a bobblehead saying, geez, how good's this, and everyone will talk about it. And then at the weigh-in, you can be guaranteed they weigh in, they go to the front, they start, I'm going to do this, and they start yapping again, and they have to be separated again, and all the fans go crazy, and the stupid promoter sitting there with a belt with his bobblehead going again, thinking, look at me, that's his moment. I'm always against that, guys. Being a promoter with sitting there with a belt in the middle. But anyway, that's a different story. So it's so predictable. And then, of course, as I said, then you get the hangers on. There's the customary, push and shove, and I'll get you and up yours, and then they get on social media and rant and rave about it. I hate it. But again, that's going back to a bygone era. But yeah, to answer your question there, mate, I think I've gone off track a little bit. I do agree that at least it's done. It's done. And if you want to see the right way to do it, guys, look at someone like a Tim Zoo. He says what needs to be done. I know he's Australian. He's our man. Look at the way he handled himself when Jamal Charlo was trying to get him razzed up. Yeah, he calm, cool, collected, said it the way it was going to be, said what he had to say, didn't get involved in it all. That's the way that we want to see fighters conduct themselves, in my opinion. I don't mind, by the way, seeing a little bit of back and forth and a bit of push and shove. I don't mind it, but it's almost like a script these days. It's like a theatre production. All right, I'm surprised I don't get together beforehand, before the crowd gets there and go, all right, well, you're going to stand there and you're going to stand there and I'm going to stand here. And at this point, I'm going to give you the signal. This is when you're going to have a bit of push and shove. That's almost the way it is these days. It's so predictable. I know the casuals eat it up, but as a hardcore, long-time fan, I'm just over it, I'm just over it. Anyway, Jay, we are canning him, but kudos to him for doing it, getting eyes on the sport and getting the big fight feel happening for the fans. Last week, we couldn't wait for it. Yeah, you are right, Jay. Yep, 100% you are correct. Not so much canning him. It's just stating the facts, in my opinion, and just asking questions. It's not, look, as I said, mate, I'll give anyone the respect that they deserve just simply by walking up the steps. Amateur, professional, male, female, young, old, I don't care. It's all the same. It takes the same ticker inside to do it. So it's not about that. So it's not really counting him for that. As I said, mate, I find it hard now to take him as seriously as I maybe would have in the past. As good as this fight was, got everyone talking about it. And as I said before, my kids were talking about it, and they never talk about boxing. So it worked in that regards, and I applaud him for that. But it still doesn't mean he can't be held accountable for his performance. And I keep harping back to it. You would never have seen Arturo Gatti go down on one knee and get counted out, I can tell you. Anyway, Shane. Fair enough opinion, but for mine, I'm thinking it's a bit harsh comparing this young fella in his biggest fight this far to one of the four kings. Yeah, no, look, you're right, mate. It's probably a bad example to use those four fighters, but it's probably I'm just picking those out because they're the ones that immediately come to mind as the big four. But as I said, Shane, doesn't excuse or get away from the point that you talk it up, you got to back it up, and he talked it up as best as I've seen anyone. He bet his purse, even though it doesn't look like he's going to have to do it, which is good, I agree with. But he's a young fella. He put the hand up. He wanted the fight. He put himself in there. And it's like anything. It's like a game of footy on the weekend. If you're in the seniors, and this is whether it's league or AFL or soccer, whatever, you put your hand up to be in the seniors. This is the seniors. You have to perform. And if you don't perform, you have to wear what's coming to you. And, well, as I said, it's great what he's done, but he still has to be critiqued. You're in that position. You can't be not critiqued just because he's younger than those guys. And yes, he hasn't had as many big fights as those guys. So again, I put those aside. But it doesn't change what I'm trying to say. Yeah, I don't know. It's good that everyone differs. I understand that. I respect that. But end of the day, as I said, cross the white line. You get through the ropes in front of 20,000 people and you take tens of millions of dollars and all that pay-per-view money and all the attention around the world. You've got to be held accountable, no matter what age you are and what level you're at. Simple as that. Canelo did it at like 20 years of age, younger than Garcia. He did it. And he continues to do it. So, yeah, I hear you, mate, but I don't necessarily agree, but I respect your opinion. Let me cook. I'm not sure you've been on here before, mate, but welcome to the show. Not sure we talked about this, but what do you think of Goosen, Hopkins, and Oscar not being there for Ryan after the fight in the dressing room or post-fight press conference? Yeah, I did notice that, mate. I'll call you Cook. Yeah, it was a strange one, wasn't it? Maybe, I don't know. It's a good question. You would have thought at least Goosen and Oscar would have been there. I mean, hey, they were right there up on stage when all the shit's going down and all the cameras are clicking, weren't they? They were up there, getting themselves in there to make sure that no one missed them. Where were they after the fight? I'm not going to read too much into it, mate, because I think Gooson's, look, he's got more than enough runs on the board. And enough great fighters he's trained over the years. There's got to be some sort of reason. Hopkins, yeah, whatever. He might have been out the front doing social media posts. Who knows? Oscar, yeah, it is a surprise, mate. Maybe Ryan didn't want him there. I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense. But yeah, I'm with you there, mate. That's a very, very good point. I hope there's nothing untoward about it. Look, I don't know. But as I said, mate, they're all up on stage when the cameras are clicking at the weigh-in and the press conference. Where were they when it counted? I don't know. Big J, these under 25 boxes are all hype and no heart. Geez, just don't hold back tonight, mate. Did you have a bad day or something? Imagine what Pacquiao, De La Hoya, Costa, even Floyd would do to them. Yeah, mate, I'm with you, mate. And look, as I said, I don't bring age into it. I really don't. You put yourself out there, then you're held accountable. De La Hoya did it at a very, very young age, probably at Garcia's age. He handled it. Cotto and Canelo and all these guys handled it. Floyd handled it probably better than anyone. I mean, he copped the most shit out of anyone out there, really. He had his followers, of course, but he probably copped the most from everyone on social media in this day and age of social media with Twitter and Instagram and whatever, Facebook and whatever. And he copped it the most, and he actually took it as a bit of badge of honor and played to it to his advantage. He was probably fortunate it didn't affect him too much. It can obviously affect some people mentally. He was mentally strong enough, but it didn't get to him, and he actually used it to get himself up. De La Hoya was probably the same. Pacquiao probably didn't care about social media, probably didn't even know what it was. He just said, put the gloves on and let's fight. And Costa was the same. But I've got to agree, mate. These days, I mean, what's that saying? Some certain fighters would rather lose but look good than rather win and look bad. And that's where I think we are these days. I'm not putting Garcia in that category because I think he did actually have a bit of a crack. He did his best. But there are some fighters out there that'd rather, as I said, they'd rather lose the fight but look good, and get all the pats on the back than win the fight and look bad. It's fact. Mate, Big J, I think you're probably like me from a bygone era. We don't sort of get it these days. But if that's the case, if this is the way it's going to be going forward, take me back and I'll happily stay there and be called an old codger. I don't care. Paul Camilleri, how are you, Paul? Thanks for coming on the show. As good as Davis is, do you think Haney beats him as long as he gets through Loma? Look, I think Haney's definitely a chance, Paul, but as I said before, I think Davis still gets the job done against Devin Haney. It wouldn't be easy. I think it'd be a great fight. I'm not quite sure how exciting the fight would be. They both like to counterpunch a fair bit. Davis has obviously got the power. Haney, I'm not sure whether it would engage at all. Lomachenko would be an interesting one with Davis because they'd be similar heights, similar type of styles, I suppose you could say, although Davis is the bigger puncher. I'd probably rather see Loma fight Davis than Haney, to be honest, Paul. But as I said before, more than any of them, Shakur Stevenson, how good a fight would that be? Ronnie, good point. That was the first time he'd been on the canvas as an amateur or pro, so I probably didn't know how to react. A bit of a shock. He had actually been on the canvas before, mate. Luke Campbell dropped Ryan Garcia, and he did really well to get up from that. It was a massive big left. I think it was a left hook. I think it's southpaw. That big overhand left/hook put Garcia down. That was a good knockout, and Garcia did really well to get up. And that's why, as I said, I'm still trying to get my head around the fact that he got dropped with a body shot. I got no dramas him going down from the body shot, but he's not even making an attempt to get up. I sound like a broken record, so I'm going to move on. Shane, he'll learn a lot from the Thai experience and go on from here. I reckon you're going a bit rough on him. He's a kid on the up at the end of the day. Yeah, maybe I'm going a bit rough on him, but mate, as I said, I still go by the mantra: you take the fight, then you're open slather. It's as simple as that. That's just the way I see it. And yes, he's a good kid. I like the way he handled himself afterwards and all that sort of stuff. I'll give him that. But as I said, mate, you put yourself out there, then you've got to be able to have, what we're doing now, discussions about what might have happened. But I hear you. Let Me Cook says, could you see if Teo beats Taylor that Tank might move back up to 140 for a mega fight with Teo? I don't know. I don't think so, mate. I don't see the sense in Tank going to 140. I mean, he's he made lightweight quite easily from what I saw. And there's so many big fights at lightweight. And I've got a feeling that Tia might even move up to welterweight at some stage. So I don't think so. I'd probably like to see Garcia maybe fight one of these guys, these other light welterweights out there. And look, actually, with the Garcia situation as well, he actually made, 135.5. Only half a pound over the lightweight limit, which is, what's that, a quarter of a kilogram or something. So he should be able to make lightweight. And with being able to rehydrate, why, if Devin Haney can do it, can boil himself down to lightweight, and then with a full 18 hours probably after the weigh-in before he fights to rehydrate, why can't Garcia do that? And I would think if Garcia stays at lightweight or goes back, he's obviously been at 140. If he goes back to 135, there's some really big fights out there for him as well. So I don't know. But to answer your question there, mate, if Teo beats Taylor, I don't think he fights. I think he might call out Davis, but I think Davis would be smart and stay at 135. Look, he's a tiny guy for the weight. I mean, he's a small lightweight, so what would he be at against a big, strong light welterweight like Teofimo Lopez? But you never know. Money talks. But as I said, I just think there's too many big fights out there for Tank Davis than moving up and fighting Teofimo at this stage. Batman, Tank versus Shakur is a great fight. Hopefully he fights a winner of Haney Loma or Shakur. In all honesty, I think he will fight someone else at 140. Okay. Fight that would be big if he moves up for a fight. Yeah, maybe you're right, mate. As I just said then, I don't think so, but who knows? Yeah, look, you just don't know what these guys are going to do these days. But I just think there's too many big fights there for Tank. I mean, the big fight, of course, is the winner of Haney and Lomachenko. That is the big fight. And if he gets past that, then it's obviously Shakur Stevenson after that. There's other fights even in between that. I mean, obviously our man George Kambosos is fighting in the end of July. Who's to say that George Kambosos couldn't put his hand up and fight him? I don't know. I know what a lot of you out there saying that what chances you got, but you just don't know. These are big fights. Like it or not, and like him or not, with George Kambosos, he's still the former undisputed lightweight champion of the world 2 fights ago. So I think we've got to give him his due respect. And I said this actually on the round table on D-Style Boxing the other day. You were on there, Batman, so you would have seen it. I think he's not getting enough respect, George. I know I'm getting a little bit off topic here. I don't think he's still getting enough respect amongst people in the boxing world. Is he at the level? Well, who knows? But he has been in the past. So is he still there? Time will tell. But the fact is that 2 fights ago, he beat Teofimo Lopez, won the undisputed lightweight title, and I said the other day, I think he's definitely still in the top 5. So I think you've still got to give him his due. But anyway, we'll move on. Jules, what have we got there? Yes, we're going to get to this actually. Well, I'll just see if we've got any other questions coming through, and we might address this a little bit later, mate. But still thinking about the Jarvis move. Forget his Fenix style. Can you comment on his technique from a boxer's perspective? Is he technically good enough for the level? Appears very robotic. All right. Okay. All right. Well, I'll answer this now as we're going, and we'll get back to Garcia and Davis and whoever else after this one. Is he technically good enough? I think, I'll be honest with you, Jules, I think the way he has been fighting under Jeff, and I don't know whether this is a Jeff initiative or Jarvis just simply trying to fight like Jeff. I don't think the way he was fighting was conducive to him having success at an elite level. I really don't. Taking 2 or 3 punches to land one, getting in close, just taking a lot of punishment, even though he's winning fights, he's taking a lot of punishment. Now he's being hurt. He's been hurt. He's been knocked out in 1 fight, of course, but he's had 2 fights where he's been in a lot of trouble in the States and here in Australia. His last fight, in a lot of trouble in those fights. So was he fighting? Is he technically good enough the way he's been fighting? No, I don't think so. I think look. Yeah, the Paro thing was a bit of an abomination, I think, if you ask me. I think that was one of those out-of-the-blue lightning bolts that he just got dropped. Would Paro have won? Yes, I think so. He would have won. But he got that lightning bolt from the blue, knocked him out, and that can happen to the best of them. But I really worry that even in his last fight against the Filipino, his style didn't change at all. He still come out of the blocks 100 miles an hour, pretty much just in your face, and he's just in front of you. That's the problem I've got, and that's what obviously was the problem with against Paro. In front of you, there's no real head movement. There's no jabbing to get it in, get in close. He's just coming at you, and he's just pretty much a target with legs really when he's coming at you. So as I said, I'm not quite sure whether Jeff's maybe tried to make him that way, or maybe Brock can't comprehend maybe what Jeff's trying to implement to him. But I think to answer your question again there, I think if Brock actually tweaks a few things, I think he can still do some big things in the sport. I think if he stays back a little bit, uses his jab a bit more, picks his shots a bit more, uses his height, and not that that's going to be a massive advantage going forward, of course, because he's going to be going up in weight and fighting guys that are his height, if not taller. But I just think if he's a little bit smarter, as I said, a bit more head movement, a few more jabs, straight punches to get inside, then maybe we could see some improvement. But the way he's fighting at the moment, or has been fighting in his last few fights, I don't think so. And even on this subject, guys, I know you guys have heard it, but there's whispers that Angelo Hyder might be Brock's new trainer. Now, when I saw that, I thought that's a really, really good move. If you're going to leave Jeff, I didn't agree with leaving Jeff at the time, but what I'm saying is if he did decide to, and now that he's left Jeff and he wants to go to someone in Australia, Angelo Hyder, I think, would be the man. We've seen what he's done with the Maloney boys and a few of the other guys in his stable. I think it's a good move. I think being in that environment around the Maloney boys and Alex Winwood and a few other guys that are in that gym, I think it would be just a real fresh start for Brock. He's probably, when he trains with Jeff, it's just him and Jeff. He's got to sort of push himself along. But to be up there, imagine in the morning going running with the boys, with the Maloney boys I'm talking about, and training with them in the gym, watching how they go about things. I think it's not a bad move. And as I said, if you're going to base yourself still in Australia, then it's a good call. And it does make sense when you think about it that he's in Vegas at the moment, and the boys are obviously over there training. So maybe that's got something to do with it as well. He's over there maybe starting prep with Angelo. But as much as I love Jeff, I think I personally think it's a good move for both parties. I really do. I think sometimes you've just got to shake hands and go your way. You've gone as far as you can with each other. And I think Jeff would probably take him as far as he probably thought he could. I know there's the weight discussions that was in there as well, and Fennick didn't agree with that. But I can also understand Brock saying, yeah, look, I think I need a fresh start. It's like a football player changing clubs. They do it just to get a fresh start, a fresh set of eyes on what they're doing. Being around other elite players or boxers, whatever it might be. So, look, I think it's a good one. I still, Jeff's a hero of mine. I hate to see this, but I think it's actually a good move. Anyway, we'll move on. Back to Garcia again. If Taylor beats Tio, or even if Tio beats Tank, a 140 would be a big event, worldwide appeal. Yeah, geez. Yeah, it would be. It'd be a big fight. I'm not sure it'd have worldwide appeal though, Batman. Tio against Tank, or Taylor against Tank. I think maybe Taylor and Tank in the UK would be big. I don't think Tio and Tank would be a big fight except for the hardcore fans, mate. It's just my opinion. I don't think could never get anywhere near the Garcia fight. But hey, I would love to see it. So hey, forget the casuals. Let's put it on anyway, because I'd love to see it. Shane, Tank's team will not let him near Haney at 140. Nah, I wouldn't have thought so either, Shane. Too big. I just, as I said before, I just think it just makes sense for Tank to stay at at lightweight, not go up to junior welterweight or light welterweight. Jay, side note, not sure if you saw DAZN didn't work for subscribers, and it's a massive shitstorm for them. The scars were full of everyone blowing up. Is that the socials I'm gathering? I didn't know that, mate. Of course, what did we pay for it? $30. So was it free elsewhere, or was it pay-per-view? DAZN pay-per-view. I suppose it was pay-per-view all over the world, but I didn't see that, mate. That's very interesting. I've always said DAZN is a shit show. I hate DAZN. I love the concept, but the way they've gone about it, they've cut so many corners. I don't have it. I got rid of it, and unless they start really putting on some big events, I won't get it back. But that doesn't surprise me, Jay. But no, I didn't see that. Let Me Cook says to beat Lama at 22 years old, Haney undisputed at 23, and Tank beat undefeated champ Pedraza at 22. Yes, he did. Roy Jones beat Hopkins and Tony by 25. Yep. Lots of boxers get it done at an early age. Yeah, good point, mate. Great point. So, it probably goes against what some of the guys here are saying. Are we being a bit hard on Garcia? Probably not. As I said before, he wanted to get in there. He wanted to get in there. So, but I'm with you. And Haney's a classic example. She's 23 years old. He's undisputed champion. It's a great effort, an unbelievable effort. And some of the excuses for Ryan are a bit too much. Yeah, I tend to agree a little bit there. Ronnie, you're right. Then I forgot about, yes, that was the knockdown of Ryan Garcia. Hopefully this event gets more big fights happening. Well, you'd think so, Shane, wouldn't you? If you're a big name fighter out there, you'd have to look at this and say, geez, what are we missing here? Let's get these big fights done. And the thing is, Ryan Garcia, even though I've been critical of him tonight, I don't like. I'm not just going to chuck him in the bin and say, well, that's it for Garcia, it's all over. I mean, he lost the fight, big deal. Regardless of what we've been saying, he lost the fight. He'll come back. He should be able to come back, and I hope he does. I hope it doesn't affect him mentally, where he thinks, oh my God, I've lost the fight. I'm going to lose 100,000 social media followers. What do I do? I hope he says, all right, well, there's a valuable learning experience. I'm 23, 24, whatever the hell he is. I'm going to go again. I mean, he's probably got 10 good years of boxing left in him. And again, I always say this, but I don't subscribe to the whole, you lose a fight and that's it, your career's over. It's a loss. Big deal. You move on. I know we look at losses a little bit differently to what we used to, but I don't think any less of Garcia as far as what he might bring to the sport just because he lost the fight. I'm excited that there's some other big fights for him down the track. He gets back on the horse. Davis, as we've been talking about, plenty of good fights for him, but I'm hoping Terence Crawford and Errol Spence were watching. I'm hoping Fury and Usyk were watching. I'm sure they were. And go, geez, we want a bit of this. How good is this? These big fights. Anyway, we'll see what happens. And there is talk, of course, of that change in subject, that we could have Fury, Usyk, and Wilder and Joshua end of the year in Saudi Arabia. How good would that be? You talk about a big card. That would probably be the biggest boxing event, really, for quality, for probably as long as I can remember. How good would that be? Pitbull versus Kambosos would be a good fight. It would be, mate. I would really like to see that fight as well. I'd like to see George. I know I've got no dramas at all, by the way. Everyone's saying, oh, this Max Hughes, who's he? And it's going to be an easy fight. Well, Kambosos is entitled to, I won't say an easy fight, but an easier fight. His last 3 fights are Lopez and Haney twice. Give the guy a bit of a break. He's more than entitled to a fight like that where he can get a win under his belt. I think that there's a few people that are a little bit disparaging towards him because he had the chance to fight Shakur Stevenson and didn't. Well, why the hell would he fight? He loses Shakur Stevenson. His career is pretty much nearly over because he's out of that A-grade frame. So if he wins against Hughes, he's right back in the mix. That's all. You're only as good as your last fight. So if he beats Max Hughes and wins that IBO title, whatever the hell it is, gets himself ranked again and gets in there, you're going to have Shakur Stevenson against, hey, this guy's a perfect guy for me to get ranked as high as I need to go. He's the Isaac Cruz one there, as you said there, with Pitbull. Who knows? It could be a Garcia wants to get back on the horse and have a name opponent. There's so many opponents out there for Kambosos. So this one's probably a little bit dangerous for me at this stage. Cook, I think. Pitbull, I don't think. He's not the sort of opponent I will say I would probably like George to fight, especially with those other big fights on the horizon. Maybe, I know it sounds silly, but I would rather fight Shakur Stevenson than Pitbull. Of course, Shakur Stevenson's a bigger hill to climb, but it's a bigger money fight, more at stake, and he's not going to really get knocked around. I mean, Pitbull, they call him Pitbull for a reason. He's a tough little bugger, so he's gonna get inside and throw bombs. Shakur Stevenson might box your ears off, but he's not really a massive puncher. So, but either way, mate, look, there's so many great lightweight fights out there to make, so I don't really care who it is, mate. True, Kambosos has a better win than 99% of the guys at 135. That's a fact. Yeah, mate, I'm glad you agree. And I'm glad, actually, I can't remember who it was on the round table on Friday agreed as well. Actually, a couple of them might have agreed that they said, yeah, okay. And a couple of them that didn't have him in went, oh, yeah, maybe you're right. But guys, as I said, his last 3 fights, a win over Lopez and 2 losses to Haney. He's still done a lot more than a lot of the Garcia included. And a lot of those guys out there. So anyway, Batman again. Sorry, I would also mind the winner of Taylor versus Teo against Tank. It would be a big event. but undisputed 135 is Tank should be looking at. Yeah, I agree, mate. Forget about Taylor T.O. Go back to 135, sorry. He's got, look, it should be only one thing that he should be looking at. The winner of Haney Lomachenko. They should almost have it geared up, start the negotiations now behind the scenes, so that when Haney Lomachenko is done and dusted, Tank can get up in the ring and say, right, in 4 or 5 months' time, this is what's going to happen, and do it right there and then. You see, this is happening even in recent years. They get the guy in there that they're going to fight. Start it straight away. So you've started it right from, that fight being over. Before the press conferences even started, they're already talking about the big fight. I would love to see it. And that's where I reckon you should be, mate. Forget 140 entirely. Go back to 135. It's probably 2, 3, 4 really good fights for him there that he could fight. So we'll see. Shane, with all respect, I think Brock might have found his level. Looking at a different approach to maybe break through the ceiling is what I'm feeling. Well, let's hope so, Shane. I think we can read between the lines a little bit that from what I'm seeing is that Brock, I know his dad's very influential as well, and I have heard behind the scenes that maybe he was getting a little bit worried about what's happening with Brock and the punishment he was taking. But my feel, and I don't know this for a fact, it's just my gut feel. I think they've had a talk, Brock and his team, aside from Jeff, have said, look, we need a different coach to take me where I want to get to. I love Jeff, but I'm not going to get to where I want to get to if I'm still with Jeff. And it would have been a massively hard decision because they've been together since Brock was a kid, and Jeff has given up so much to get Brock to where he is. So it would have been really, really hard. But I've just got a feeling, as I said, the gut feeling is they would have had a chat, and Brock probably would have said, I don't, and his dad would have said, I don't think Jeff's going to get us to where we want to get to, and now's the time to do it. But yeah, let's hope we're wrong, Shane. Let's hope he does change trainers and he adjusts a few things. My biggest worry though is that once you've been hurt the way he's been hurt and knocked out, of course, once or twice, that you do tend to get a little bit chinny. Going up in weight, and you talk about rehydration, this guy gets in the ring every time dehydrated. It doesn't matter whether you got 12 to 18 hours in between. The amount of weight he would have lost, he's probably losing 10 to 15 kilos every time he fights. You can't replenish that in 24 hours. You just can't. Garcia is a different story because he might have had to lose 5 or 6. It's a different story. But when you're losing 10 to 15 kilos every time you fight, that's a massive amount of weight. And it's a fake hydration. You might fill yourself full of fluid, but it's not really helping the effects that dehydrating that much has had on you. So who knows, if he goes up in weight, maybe we might get a different version of him. Just excuse me there. All right. Excuse me. Adam, change the subject. Yes, we've been talking for an hour on Garcia and Davis. Someone mentioned on your last live, Tim could be fighting Trout. I hope not. That would be going backwards. Liam Smith will be better. Yeah, well, I think the cat was out of the bag on that, to be honest, Adam. Someone saw it on an overseas site. Yes, I have heard that it is Austin Trout. I must admit, my first comment was, what? Why? That was my first comment. The person that told me said that, well, why wouldn't he? It's a good fight. I'm a little bit neither here nor there, Adam. I can see that, look, Trout has been semi-retired for a while. I know he's had 4 fights. Actually, I'll bring up his record as we're going, just so I can see when his last fights were. Where is it there? So he's had, look, I'll just move my light there. So what do we got there? So he was beaten by, oh, hang on. Get rid of that, sorry. Jamel Charlo in 18, drew with Terrell Gorche in 19. 2020 he had 1 fight. 21 he had 2 fights. Last year he had 1 fight. He's won them all. So he's had 5, and he had last one in December last year. So he's had 5 fights on the trot. So initially I was like, geez, he's washed up. Why the hell are they fighting? But he's had 5 wins. So in the last 2 years. So I'd probably change my view that he's washed up, because there's some other fighters out there that are fighting guys with a lot less credentials than that. So once I did some research, I thought, yeah, that's not a bad fight for him. He's a name. He's not a big puncher. I don't think he poses any threat to Tim whatsoever. So I think it's a good fight. And look, what we've got to remember, Adam, is, and everyone else out there that might be raising the eyebrows at it, Tim's entitled to this type of fight. I mean, he fought Tony Harrison, the former world champion, the only guy to beat Charlo when he didn't have to. He fought him, got the win, and now it's not his fault that what's happened again has happened. I think he's got the right and enough points or enough brownie points to say, yeah, this is the guy that I'm going to fight. I'm not going to give him any pushback at all about it. He's entitled to fight Austin Trout. Yes, we all think, oh, geez, it's not a big fight, but geez, would you risk a multi-million-dollar payday and a shot at the undisputed world title just with a keep busy fight? This is what it is. I don't think they'll make any bones or try and pass it off as any more than what it is. It's a tune-up fight. So I think Trout's a perfect opponent. I really do. And maybe this is what they're going to announce on Wednesday. I did see on social media today that No Limit are going to have a big announcement on Wednesday. This could be it. But as I said, Adam, it was leaked on the show last week. Someone put it in the comment section, so can't deny it. But that's what I've heard. It's going to be Austin Trout. But as I said, I'm all for it. I don't care who he fights. He could fight whoever. I'm not going to give him any grief whatsoever because he really doesn't have to fight. Most elite fighters these days fight probably twice a year tops. He's already had one fight against a former world champion. So if he actually stood out of the ring until September, October, November, whatever, to fight Charlo, I wouldn't have a problem with it. So the fight Trout is just a keep busy fight. No issue whatsoever. Perfect fight for him. Someone that's a name, will give him rounds. Not a big puncher, as I said. No real threat. I think it's a perfect fight. I know a lot of you guys out there will disagree because you want to see him fight the best all the time. But geez, there is such a thing as tune-up fights these days. And this is all it is. Ronnie, what do you got there, mate? The sport is littered with boxers that have had a defeat and gone on to have great careers. Sometimes you learn more from a loss than a win. 100%, mate. And Garcia, I think, will be one of those types of guys. I think he will, judging by his response after the fight, I think he'll take it, probably a bit of a pun, but on the chin, and learn from it. You've got to remember, he's a kid, still a kid. Doesn't excuse, as I said before, of copying his share of criticism. However, he's got plenty of time to come back. Plenty of time. So I've got no dramas whatsoever with him that he'll be back. Still a massive name as a name, and that's about it. But that's all you need these days. So I think he'll be back and get some big fights as well. Jules, actually think Kambosos will be a better fighter after the 2 Haney losses. Yep. Excited to see the division might open up for him if Haney moves up as expected. 100%. Mate, couldn't have said it better myself. I think he's going to be a better fighter. Look, he knows the level of that Haney was at, but geez, you've got to take your hat off to George Kambosos. He didn't have to fight Haney. He could have fought a voluntary he wanted Lomachenko initially, and then when he wasn't available, he wanted Haney. Give the guy some credit. I mean, I'm not a massive fan of George. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I love him because he's an Aussie fighter. We all love our guys. I'm not a massive fan of him, but I fully respect him. And those 2 fights with Haney, I agree. I think he's going to be a better fighter. I think he, as I said before, 100% entitled to fight someone like Maxie Hughes. Get his IBF rank. I don't think he gives a shit about the IBO title, but it will give him an IBF ranking. So if Haney moves up and wins and moves up, he's going to be in line to fight for the IBF championship. Then do you think he's going to get a fight with Shakur Stevens? And of course, it makes perfect sense. Very, very, very well managed if this is the case. And who knows, we change subject again with Zarafa. Maybe it's the same thing with him. Maybe he wants to fight Lara instead of Falcao or whatever it might be. Sees it as the better fight long term rather than here right now. So there's always these guys are managers for a reason. They get paid a lot of money to make these decisions. So yeah, I think it's a good call. And in this case, as I said, Jules, fantastic call by George to fight Hughes, and then what might happen after that. But I agree, those 2 Haney fights are going to make him a lot better fighter. And I think he'll make short work of Hughes, to be honest. I want to see Morrell versus the bigger Charlo. Yeah, well, it's funny, Shane. I said on the review, I was really impressed with Morrell. Like, he didn't have much to beat, of course, but he's a late replacement, so you can't really do much about that. But he's now saying he wants to fight Benavides in September. I would have thought after only having 9 or 10 fights, whatever he's had, it's a bit early for that. But geez, how good is he? Again, I know he didn't have a lot to beat, but yeah, I would rather see Benavides and Morrell than Canelo and Benavides. To be honest, I just think it's a better fight, and not as big a money fight, of course. But I want to see that fight, and if they do decide to fight in September, I'll be watching. That's a great fight. A little bit early, as I said, for Morrell, but but in regards to your question or your comment there with Charlo, I'm not sure Charlo wants that fight, Shane. I think the Charlos have shown more than enough times they don't want those massive fights. They really don't. They won't take a fight unless they almost see themselves as guaranteed to win. I'm sorry, that's just the way they roll. I'm not sure either one of them. Well, I don't think Charlo, the middleweight, I don't think he has it in his heart anymore. The ticker to want those bigger fights, but I would love to see him fight Morrell or anyone, Golovkin, whoever, fight somebody. I still can't believe he hasn't even been stripped. I know we spoke about this on the round table as well on Friday, that 2 years out the ring, still hasn't got an opponent locked in. So you must know something we don't. Batman Smith at this point is a much better fight. Than Trout. He is Batman, but as I said, mate, it's all strategic. Liam Smith, a lot harder fight than Trout and a lot better fight for Trout. But why would Tim take the risk to fight Liam Smith when he's supposed to be fighting Charlo by the end of the year? It's a pretty risky fight and a tough fight. So I just think, to be honest with you, mate, I agree with you, it'd be a better fight, and I want to see it down the track, but it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It makes no sense for him to fight Liam Smith, I don't think, and jeopardise that fight. I mean, even if I think he beats Liam Smith, but still, he's a tough fight. He's going to hang in there. He's probably going to give Tim a good 12 rounds. Who knows? He could get cut, hurt hands, whatever. I don't think Trout poses a threat at all. That's why I think it's a perfect fight. If Tim beats Charlo, I'd love to see him fight Liam Smith next. That would be the fight for me. But it doesn't make any sense now. Who just fought in bare knuckle? Is that Liam Smith? Geez, I didn't know that, mate. He's tougher than what I thought then. What else we got here? Adam again, you're right. Once you really think about it, definitely warm-up fight. Just happy seeing me clap big names. Yeah, mate, back in the day, who was I looking at the other day of their box rec? Fought 8 times in 1 year. And only, I think 3 of them were world title fights. The other 5 were just in between keep busy fights. It's not bad. So you can't begrudge someone like Tim to want just a keep busy fight. And as I said, he already took the big risk in fighting Harrison. He passed that test with flying colours. So he's more than entitled to have a warm-up fight. Jay Brown, hang on, what have we got here? Here's the question. Do you hand on heart think Zoo versus Charlo will actually happen? Very good question. I hand on heart don't think it will. Maybe Team Zoo 2 also don't think it will, hence Harrison and Trout. Look, Jay, I'd be lying if I thought that I'm 100% confident this fight gets done, because I'm not. I'm not, and it's got nothing to do with Tim Zoo at all. I just think Jamal Charlo, I don't think what do they say in the States? He doesn't want any of the smoke of Zoo. I think this is a classic case. I really think Zoo, he knows he's hungry. He knows he wants those belts. He knows he's got more than enough ability to beat Charlo. So why would he want that fight? I think I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't happen this year. Just a gut feel. I hope I'm wrong 100%. But I think, and that's what I love about Tim as well. Tim's just like, oh, well, shrug of the shoulders. It's not going to happen now. Get me a fight. I want to fight in June. Just get me the fight. I love it. As I said before, most elite fighters fight once or twice a year. He's going to have at least 3 fights for the year. And if Charlo pulls out again, well, guess what? Zoo will fight again in probably September, October. So that's what you got to respect about Tim. But hand on heart, no. I can put my hand on my heart and say I'm not 100% sure it happens. I'm really not. I just think Charlo is going to continue to try and delay things. Because I think he knows he's in trouble. I really do. And Team Zoo 2, mate, they're just saying, hey, either way, we're going to get a world title shot. If he doesn't fight me this year, the odds are they're probably going to strip him, although it hasn't happened to his brother, so maybe it won't. I don't think they really care whether it's Charlo, whether it's for a vacant top. They don't care. They just know they're the best. They just want to fight the best. That's what we love about Tim. Shane says, hang on. I've thought the same thing. As soon as it gets cancelled at Christmas, it got cancelled at Christmas, I was saying this probably never happens. Yeah, let's hope we're wrong, mate. Batman, I can also see Ryan moving up and fighting Rolly. Yeah, I think he makes short work of Rolly Ramiro. Batman, I'm not a big fan of Ramiro, to be honest. I think he's very limited, and I think Ryan ices him, to be honest. And yes, thanks for agreeing. Benavidez Morel is a great fight. I think that will be an awesome fight. Oh, okay. So Trout is fighting. Trout fought bare knuckle. So he's been active. As I said, he's had, 3 fights in the last year and a half or whatever it has been, plus this. It's not bad. So, yeah, but as I said, he's not a big puncher. Is past his best. Perfect fight for Tim. Jules, for Zoo to keep getting those top guys, he has to keep winning. Trout is better than being inactive. 100% correct there, mate. Losing is mandatory and needing to reset won't be fun. Zoo versus Madrimov would be great. Yeah, again, I'm not quite sure. Unless it's for a vacant belt, mate, I'm not sure whether that makes sense for Zoo to fight him. Let's see the rankings at the moment. I'm just trying to look for him. Madrimov. He's not. Is it? Am I wrong that he's not ranked? Am I looking? Oh, sorry, wrong division. Wrong division. That would help. So he's ranked. Israel Madrimov's ranked number 7 in the WBC. 1 with the WBA. Doesn't look like he's ranked at all by the IBF. How's that happen? Ranked 1 with one organisation and not with another one. But with the WBA's ranked 14. So I don't think that'll happen unless it's a voluntary defence, Jules. But that would be a good fight. I would probably like to see, what do we got for Tim? I mean, I would have thought Danny Garcia would have been a good fight. I know he's risky, but at that weight, I'll back Tim. Probably there's no one else really when you think about it that he probably could have fought. And that's why I really like the fight with Trout, although he's not ranked anywhere, I don't think. Anyway, we'll move on. Good point, Batman. Liam Smith is fighting Eubank again. Yeah, I did see that it looks like they're going to fight again. So, and that makes sense. I like that fight. And who knows, the winner of that might fight the winner of Charlo Zoo or Zoo, whoever, for the title. Who knows? Shane says, Tim versus Beefy would fill a stadium in the UK if it was for a belt. 100% it would, mate. How would that be in the UK? Tim Zoo and Liam Smith, it would be awesome. I also think Tim definitely beats Smith, but a decent name to take at some point. Yeah, it would be, but everything's got to be at the right time, Batman, and now's not the time for that fight. Especially if, I think it makes sense for Tim to fight Austin Trout or whoever it might be, but also I think it makes sense for Liam to fight Chris. Get the doubt out of that, and it makes his case even stronger. By that stage, look, by the end of the year, he could put himself in line for the winner if it does happen of Zoo Charlo. The winner fights Liam Smith, so it does make sense that way. Jay Brown says, wasn't Trout supposed to fight Mundine in 2015? Chock popped an eardrum and it was off. Was it that late? I thought it might have been a bit earlier than that, Jay, but it does make sense they were going to fight each other. I can't remember exactly what happened, but I know at one stage they were going back and forth about fighting each other. It might have been was it for a belt? WBA belt, I think at the time. I'm not sure if it was before or after Trout beat Cotto, but yeah, that was the case. I couldn't remember why it got cancelled, but that would probably make more sense. Whether or not it was really on the cards, I suppose we'll never know, but I remember it being talked about. Well, it was 2015. Yeah, probably makes sense. 8 years ago. I thought it might have been a bit earlier, but anyway. Shane says to Jules, good call. Great call. If that war ever ends Madrimov in Russia, I think Costa and Tim had expressed as much a couple of years back. Yeah, it's just got to make sense, guys, that to do that fight at the right time. And I'm sure if Tim gets the belt, he's always said he wouldn't mind fighting in Russia. Makes perfect sense, doesn't it? That's if they let them fight. Are they still letting Russians fight these days? I suppose they are, because Bivol just fought, didn't he? So Batman says, if Tim versus Smith happens in the UK, I would definitely be there. Yeah, I think half of Australia would go over there too, mate. I reckon they could do that at Wembley and get a massive crowd there, I reckon. Probably get 10,000 Aussies go over there. Maybe it's not big enough for Wembley, but you get my drift. Probably fill a 20 or 30,000 seat stadium, you'd probably reckon. Jules said Zoo versus Madrimov could be an instant classic. Yeah, it could be. I suppose we won't know for a little bit there, guys. But I think it's good that we're talking about Tim in these big fights. And look, I'm looking through the rankings at the moment. So he's the interim champion. So in the WBO, you've got Murtazaliev as the number 1 challenger, Danny Garcia number 2. There's not really any names. Brian Castano might be someone could get a shot. He's probably one I wouldn't mind seeing Tim fight if he wins. Castano's probably done with the Charlo side of things, but yeah, I would think Castano or Liam Smith, if he wins the fight, would be a good one. Shane says, if it's a vacant belt, who does Tim fight? I'll have to recheck the individual bodies rankings. All right, well, let's have a quick look now if you like. I'll put it up. If I can get it there. Yep, I'll get your comment off there, mate. There's the rankings there. All right, so, oh, hang on, I'll get rid of that. All right, so there's the ranking. So, as I said there, Liam Smith, number 1 over here in the WBO. So it'd have to be Murtazaliev would have to be for the vacant title, I suppose. So what do we got there? Danny Garcia, Josh Kelly. So yeah, so there's a few there for him, but I don't think he wants to fight any of those guys at the moment. I mean, he's got his interim belt. He's got the shot at Charlo, so just bide his time. Yeah, we have got, thanks, Daryl Maloney. How are you, Daryl? Thanks for tuning in, mate. If you don't know Daryl, he is the dad or the father of Team Maloney, Jason and Andrew. So we wish the boys all the best. Daryl will be over there covering the event, mate. So hope to catch up for, I won't say a beer. I'm not really a beer drinker, but a coffee or something would be good. Looking forward to catch up with the whole Team Maloney over there. It's going to be awesome. The Team Maloney Army. Of course, we're only, 3 weeks away. So we've got Jason May 13th in Stockton, and, of course, Andy on the massive card at the MGM Grand Haney Lomachenko card. So thanks, Daryl. Hope to see you over there, mate, and hope the boys are in good spirits. Batman. Very unlikely as I don't see Spence taking it, but if Spence versus Crawford doesn't happen, Spence versus Zhu. I've been on about that for a while, mate. I've said for a while I've got Tim winning against either of them. Ooh, that's a bold statement saying he's going to beat Spence. But look, we've got confidence in our guy over here that he beats all these guys. I would love to see that fight. And I've got a feeling that Tim really wants that fight. If he beats Charlo, I think he would love to fight Spence next. I mean, we've just been talking about some of the fighters over there that he could fight. But geez, what a massive event that would be. And even like worldwide, to think if Tim beats Charlo and Spence moves up if the Crawford fight doesn't happen, that to me is an appealing fight like we've just seen on the weekend with Garcia and Davis. Massive, massive fight. But even on just to change subjects again, even on the Garcia Davis fight, as good as it was for the fight game, if you really break it down as far as importance to the boxing world, there's probably another 10 or 12 fights I probably would have liked to have seen before it, I will say, that probably have more relevance on in the scheme of things. But as far as being appeal and the money it would have brought in, of course, it was great for the sport. But yeah, I'd love to see that too, Batman. And I've got a feeling, as I said, another gut feel that if Tim beats Charlo, he's going to want Spence. There's a little bit of beef between the two already. Going back and forth a little bit. So I wouldn't be surprised if Tim says, hey, now I've got the belts, come up and fight me. And I think Spence would take that fight. No problems at all. So, yeah, it's interesting to hear what you guys have to say. What did you think? Just on the other news, as we said, George Kambosos, July 29, Maxie Hughes in Las Vegas. Now, the one question I will say, or will pose with that one, is it big enough to be a main event in Las Vegas? Now, I'm not quite sure that it is. So there has sort of been put out there, maybe it might be on an undercard of a big fight over there, but it's probably unique that they announced an undercard fight before the main event, if you know what I mean. So unless it's going to be at a smaller venue like, I know the Palms do small shows, the Cosmopolitan do small shows, maybe the Joint. I'm not sure it's called the Joint anymore. Used to be the Hard Rock. Now it's Virgin, although I don't think they're actually doing shows there at the moment. So it might be an arena that only seats a couple of thousand people. That's probably as much I could probably see around this. I mean, George is probably, even though he's the former undisputed champion, he's probably not a massive name in the States. Hughes is definitely not a name in the States. So as I said, I'm not quite sure it's got enough appeal to carry a main event unless it's at a smaller venue. So we'll see what happens. Also on the weekend, we saw Sky Nicholson with an 8-round win in Cardiff on the Joe Cordina Shavkat Rakhimov undercard. What do you think? I've only seen highlights on YouTube, I will say. I think we're at a point where Sky's probably got to step it up a little bit. She's had 7 fights now. I think it's time to stop beating up on these types of fighters, let me say. I mean, she won 80-72 in all 3 cards. I think she's definitely a world champion in the wings, in waiting, but she's had 7 fights now, and that's when you think that Ebony Bridges had a world title fight after 4 fights, and she's nowhere near the fighter I think that Sky is. I think it's time for them to start stepping up. I know she has said she'll be world champion before the end of the year. Now's the time to take someone that's going to at least give her a challenge, I think. Shane says, go Team Maloney. Going to be a great couple of weeks. Sure will. How good is it that and I don't think it's been given anywhere near enough exposure. And of course, lost my thing there. I'll put that up there. My green screen. Sorry about that. I don't think it's been given anywhere near enough attention. We've had nothing in mainstream. I know what else is new. I suppose it's never the case unless you're a footy player or whatever it might be. But I think obviously there's been a lot going on the last few weeks. I'm pretty sure in the next sort of week or so as we get up to it, of course, the whole Aussie boxing world will be all over it. But let's hope we get some of the mainstream media that are going to be all over. It's just it's just criminal when you think that they get more exposure from outside the country than what they do in this country. So, and I know George Kambosos went through it as well, and a lot of other fighters have gone through it. But these guys, they're not just fighting nobodies at the local RSL club. These guys are in the States and have done it the hard way. Right through COVID, we're over there. They were in hotels for weeks on end and doing it the hard way, fighting over there in front of no people just to get the fights, and they've fought the way to this position. So, I'm with you though, Shane. Can't wait for it. Can't wait to be over there, and let's hope we get 2 new world champions out of it. What date are you jetting off, Lynden, with a regular program and continue? I'm glad you asked that, Jules. I'm actually taking off in 2 weeks' time, so I'll have 2 more shows. Go on the Tuesday, so the day after we do this show. So jetting off on the 9th of May, and I'll be over there for 2 weeks. While I'm over there, I will be doing a talking boxing. It might not be on the Monday night as usual because I think I worked out to about 2 or 3 in the morning over there. So what I'm going to do one on, it'll be Friday night over there, but it'll be Saturday here. So I'm going to time it sort of between 11, 12, 1, something like that, between 11 and 1 on the Saturday. Probably, actually, I might do it maybe the day before. Might be the day, so it'll be the day before Jason's fight here. I'll split that out. So it'll be the day before Jason's fight. I'll probably do it after the weigh-in in Stockton before Jason's fight. So it'll be the Friday night over there, and it'll be Saturday here. So it'll be just after the weigh-in. So I'll go live, and I'm not going to bother the boys. They've got enough on their plate. But we might be able to get a chat with Tony Toll, Duranzo Hyder, or someone like that from the team who can maybe give us an update of how the boys are feeling. I hope you're watching out there, Tony or Angelo, because I'm gonna be hitting you up for a word over there. Maybe even Darryl will come on for a quick chat. I don't know. But regardless of who we get on, I will be doing the Talking Boxing live on the Saturday, so the day before Jason's fight. And same format as this. Fire your questions in. It'd be great, wouldn't it, if we had Tony or Angelo on the show so you can fire some questions at them. As I said, I'm not going to bother the boys because they've got enough going on. But it'd be good to put it out there that you guys can ask them some questions. Let me know if you like that format. Wouldn't mind a couple travel and food vlogs in Vegas for those of us hoping to head over when Zoo Charlo finally happens. Well, that's the other thing I will be doing, Jules. Every day there'll be a vlog. That's what it's called. It'll be a daily video of 10 to 15 minutes that I'll put up on YouTube. I did it last year with the Triple G Canelo fight. Look it up on YouTube if you haven't seen it. So so I will be doing a daily vlog as well as the live Talking Boxing show over there. So I'm not really big on the food vlogs, I've got to say, Jules, but I have been there a lot of times. So I'll be giving you, if you're over there, whether it be on a budget or you got a few bucks to spend, I'll see what I can do for you. I am the master of food courts, I will say, because when I go to Vegas, there's always so much that goes on over there. It's always food on the run. So I always eat in, and I'm not a big one for eating in restaurants anyway. So I'm always in food courts. So if you want a review of the food courts at all the casinos, then I'm your man. And if Ronnie Picken's with me, he knows every good joint to get chicken tenders in Las Vegas. He's the man. That's all he eats over there. So, but yeah, I hope that makes some sense, guys. I will be doing vlogs every single day, and we'll try and get as much footage as we can to you guys. I'm not sure who we'll get to talk to and who we won't, depending on our access. But we'll have Jack Dilks with us as well. He does the tribal mentality stuff on Instagram. He'll be over there. He's going to do a proper documentary on the whole experience. So he's good at it. I just take my camera and comment and pretend to know what I'm talking about. He knows what he's doing. So he's going to do a proper documentary that we will put on this channel. So keep an eye out for that. Ronnie Pickens, speak of the devil. Did anybody see or like to comment on the Cordina fight? Was a cracker. I didn't see it, mate. Just some highlights, I must admit. It was on a bit early for me, mate. I sleep in on Sundays. Getting up watching the Garcia fight was enough for me. But from all accounts, it was a great fight. So, yeah, if you haven't checked it out, jump on YouTube. Yeah, Ross, MGN Food Court, 4 hours of boxing chat. We did do that, didn't we? Ross came over to the States with Ronnie and myself. And if you do remember, we're sitting in the MGM Food Court talking shit as we do. And who's sitting over a few seats was Jeff Horn. We're there for Jeff Horn and Terence Crawford. And he's over there watching his wife eat a pizza. So the people that you meet. So if you are coming over, Jules, there'll be people to meet all over the place. So for that fight, for Haney Lomachenko, there'll be people everywhere. It'll be great. We'll resubscribe for food court reviews. Yeah, as I said, mate, I look, I'm not really a restaurant person anyway. There's so many great places to eat. I'll tell you what, the best places I like to go are the sports bars. If I'm going to treat myself to a big night out or spend a few bucks, it's a sports bar. You go there, they've got like 1 million screens around the joint. There's a different sport on every TV. It's amazing. The ribs and the wings and the beers and that big. I mean, they're amazing places over there. Every bar, especially when there's a big fight going on, all the bars are packed. Fight people everywhere. It's an amazing experience. If you haven't been there before and you're thinking about going, even if you're by yourself, think about it because it is an amazing experience. And if you do happen to go by yourself, there is so many boxing people there, especially if it's the Zoo Charlo fight. There'll be people everywhere, including me, probably a lot of other people you see on social media, and you meet up with so many different people, especially that fight. Don't be afraid to go by yourself because you'll meet up with so many Australian fight fans and probably fight fans from around the world. It's really an experience to go to Vegas because all the fight fans are in the one location normally for the week. You see the same people all over the place. It's just a really cool experience. So anyway, and Batman, 100%, mate. There's nothing like fight week in Vegas. And I can sit up here and pretend, to explain it to you guys, but until you're actually there, to experience, it's just a great experience. It really is. Big J, hey mate, please ask Darryl Maloney his thoughts about have his boys on record that I come up with $6 million. His boys will punch on. Would the family allow this? Oh, for $6 million? I don't think so. I don't think that would happen. I'll probably answer that for unless Darryl, you're out there watching or answer that. Would you allow the boys to punch on for $6 million? I'm not quite sure they would, but you never know. You never know. I've seen the boys actually in the gym a few times get it on Big J, and it was quite a sight actually to see him punching on. And I think there was as much talking and screaming at each other as there was actually punching each other. But it was quite a sight to see the boys punch the hell out of each other. Some ripper sparring the boys have had over the years. So, love your style, Roscoe, says Ronnie. Yep, that's Ross Levitt. So, what else we got here? If Charlo vs. Zoo does happen, I'll probably head over to Vegas for that. Yeah, well, I think be interesting. I would think they would have packages for. I know you're from the UK. I think Batman. I'm sure they'd have packages over there. But from Australia, I know. I think it was sort of half put out when. Just to answer your question there. That's a no from Darryl Maloney. There you go. I think you'd probably find there'd probably be 5,000 Aussies that would go over Batman. I think Tim is just a massive name here. He's very, very popular amongst a whole wide range of people. And I think while it wouldn't be like what you get with the English people over there that used to travel for Ricky Hatton and all those over there, and I've been there for Ricky Hatton when he fought Pacquiao. Didn't end well for Ricky, of course, but that was my first fight ever in Vegas. And to go there and see, like, talk about places being packed, I'm pretty sure they actually ran out of beer in Vegas when that fight was on, and I think when he fought Mayweather as well. All the bars were just bursting at the seams. There was drunken poms everywhere. All the gambling tables were full of poms. Are we allowed to call you guys poms? Or I'm not quite sure whether that's politically correct these days, but we're calling you poms. Yeah, it was just an experience for me. And I reckon while I don't think we'll get to those levels, I think you'll see a really big contingent of Zoo fans go over there, and maybe because it's a bit later in the year now, hopefully that everyone will have a bit more time to save up a few bucks anyway. But it should be great for Australian boxing, guys. Look, it's 8:30. It's been an hour and a half, so I'm looking to probably hit the road at the moment. Really appreciate everyone logging on tonight. Don't forget to check out my review of Garcia and Davis on YouTube at the moment. I'll put the link at the start of the show. And just to reconfirm that we are going to be, as usual, for the next 2 weeks. But I can't wait to get over and cover the two Maloney boys in the States. I'll be getting as much footage as I possibly can and documenting the whole thing for you guys. And hopefully helping to bring to you a bit of a behind the scenes look at what goes on over there and everything else. And yeah, so that's it this week, guys. I didn't get the episode out of Home Spinks 2. What's your verdict on the weekend? I will probably get it out this week, so keep a lookout for that. And of course, Thursday night at 7:30 for the Boxing Deep Dive show with Grant Tassie Brown and Mike Altamura. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Hope you have a good Anzac Day tomorrow. Try and get some sleep. And all the diggers out there that are marching in the morning, all our very best. Thank you very much for your service. And we'll see you next week. Thanks, guys.